Okay, so here's G3, and I'm going to try to make this under 10 minutes. I've got to do some stuff with the calculator, so that might slow us down, but just bear with me because the stuff I show you in the calculator is going to be helpful to you in the future. But, okay, so G3, use calculus to find the locations of all horizontal tangents. So, guys, what you've got to know is that, oh yeah, actually, let me show you this first. All right, so we're going to do number 2 and number 6. And here I've provided the graphs for you so, to help you visualize what's going on. Okay, so here is number 2. All right, so the tangents to this graph, you know, like here's an example of a tangent. That is not a horizontal tangent. Okay, not horizontal, not horizontal. Okay, so, but if I go up here, like right there about, looks like I've got a horizontal tangent. All right, so I've got a horizontal tangent up there, and then actually we've got some symmetry going on. So right below, looks like I have another horizontal tangent. So I'm just gonna like, you know, kind of estimate. So it looks like I'm gonna have these 2 locations for my horizontal tangent. Now, because I provided the graphs on some of these problems, you're going to be able to see just from the graph the exact location of the horizontal tangent, but that's why the directions are asking you to use calculus. And guys, it looks like nowhere else do I have any horizontal tangents. All right, so I've got a horizontal tangent line. I'm going to have 2 locations, and I can tell from the graph. Now, I'm going to ask myself, okay, well, what does it mean if a tangent line is horizontal? All right, and we're thinking about calculus. So when you're using calculus, you are either using limits or derivatives. All right, so you have to ask yourself, in order to find the location of a horizontal tangent, would that require a limit or a derivative? And the answer is a derivative, because a tangent gives you, like, you know, a tangent line, when we think of its slope, that is the derivative. And you would know you had a horizontal tangent if the slope, so I'll say dy dx, if it's 0. Okay, if the slope is 0, the slope of the tangent line is the derivative. If it's 0, that means you've got a horizontal tangent, because the slope of a horizontal line is 0. So we need to take the derivative of this. Okay, and all right, yeah, let me just do it. All right, so I'm going to need y prime after y. So this is 2y prime equals 3x squared minus 2. Then I'm going to solve for y prime. Okay, and I'm trying to find where y prime is 0. Okay, so I'll set this equal to 0, I guess. So 3x squared minus 2 over 2y equals 0. If you want, guys, you could put, you know, you could think of it this way. You could put the 0 over 1, and then when you cross multiply, you will end up with 3x squared minus 2 equals 0. So, x squared is 2/3. So x is plus or minus radical 2/3. Now here is the thing, and this is why I provided the graphs to you. One of these answers is actually extraneous, because if you look at this graph, so the negative radical 2/3, all right, so, and let's figure out, okay, radical 2/3, radical, okay, 0.8164, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the negative one actually makes sense, All right, so the negative one here actually makes sense because it looks like this x coordinate for these 2 points looks like about negative 0.8. But let me look at the positive one. Guys, the positive, it doesn't really look like the positive one is going to be an answer. Okay, well, also, guys, you know, let me right, forget about that for a second. You know you're not going to have a horizontal tangent over here whose location corresponds to a positive x value. The only horizontal tangents we have are corresponding to the negative x value. So so guys, it's really this. Okay, I'll say based on graph. Now there is a more rigorous reason why the positive one doesn't work, and that's because that positive x value is not actually in the domain of this graph. And I encourage you to think about why algebraically, but you don't need to. All right, I'm just going to tell you, and that's why I provided the graphs. You could ask me if you're interested, because I thought it through last night. Okay, now, so I know that this is the x coordinate of these points that are the locations of horizontal tangents. Now I need to find the y coordinates. And then the way that you do that, guys, is you plug back into the original equation. All right, these points that we're looking for are on the original equation's graph. So to get the y's, you would plug into the original equation. All right, and I know based on my graph, I'm going to have 2 of them. So, so I'm going to have 2 of these. So I'm going to have negative radical 2 over 3, negative radical 2. All right, so my answers are going to be here, and I've just got to find the y coordinates. So back to the original equation. Original equation, y squared. Okay, and guys, you know, like the steps that I show a lot, you know, are just like for teaching purposes. So feel free to skip, like you don't need to write the original equation if you don't want to. So I'm plugging in negative radical 2/3. Plugging that in there. And I'm going to use my calculator. And I get negative radical 2/3 to the third minus 2. Shoot. I might have to do this in 2 parts. Negative radical 2/3 plus 1. Okay, so I end up with this. So y squared equals 2.0886 ... All right. Now, guys, we're going to want to store this, okay? Because you don't want to round any answers along the way. So you can round your final answer, but not, if you get any decimals along the way to your final answer, you don't want to round because that's going to throw off your final answer. So I'm going to store this. All right, so store is right down here. So I'm going to store it. Oh, you can't even see. I'm going to store it, and then you choose, like, you hit alpha and some key, and that'll give you a letter. So I'm going to store this as A. All right. So, so I'll say stored as A. So I get that y squared is A. So then y is going to be plus or minus the square root of A. All right. And then in my calculator, I'll do the square root of A, and that gives me this. okay? And I'm pretty sure they want at least 3 decimal points, so I'll do 4. So this is 1.4452. So 1.4452 and then negative 1.4452. All right, so there are the points. Yeah, and that looks pretty good, guys. Like it's a little bit past 1, above and below. Okay, now there is going to be a second part to this video. I'll make another video.